यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय रात माधवा कुंज बिहारी, जय रात माधवा कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, यशोदनंदन व्रजजन रंजन, यशोदनंदन व्रजजन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय रात माधवा कुंज बिहारी, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा, जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रभुपाद श्रीमती स्वयं श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, इस्कॉन संस्थापक आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रभुपाद श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय, जय विष्णुपाद श्री हरकिशोरदास महाराज की जय, जय विष्णुपाद सच्चिदानंद श्री भक्तिवेदांत ठाकुर की जय, जय विष्णुपाद वैष्णव साधु श्री जगन्नाथ दास महाराज की जय, जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री देव गोपाल भट्टदास गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय, नमाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय, प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपोपन श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड हरिगोवर्धन की जय, इसी गौरांगी बैंगलोर ईश्वर भगवान की जय, श्री मायापुर धाम की जय, श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय, गंगामयी की जय, यमुनामयी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय, इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरुवंद की जय, समामित भक्तवृंद की जय, गौरव प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल, all glories to the assembled, all glories to the assembled, all glories to the assembled, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtihi. Hare Krishna. Welcome you all to the Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, text 46 and 47. First we'll recite text 46. Puragam Rashaya Mahasukaro Damstraya Padminim Varanendro Yatha Stuyamano Natal Leelaya Yogibir Vijyaharta Tvaikatra Yajnakratuhu. Translation here about Bhakti Jai. Dear Lord, O personified Vedic knowledge, in the past millennium, long ago, when you appeared as a great boar incarnation, you picked up the world from the water as an elephant picks up a lotus flower from a lake. When you vibrated a transcendental sound in the gigantic form of a boar, the sound was accepted as a sacrificial hymn, and the great sages like Sanaka meditated upon it and offered prayers for your own glorification. Purport syllable, Padki Jai. A significant word used in this verse is Traigatra, which means that the transcendental form of the Lord is the Vedas. Anyone who engages in the worship of the deity or form of the Lord in the temple is understood to be studying all the Vedas 24 hours a day. Simply by decorating the deities of the Lord Radha and Krishna in the temple, one very minutely studies the injunctions of the Vedas. Even a neophyte devotee who simply engages in the worship of the deity is understood to be in direct touch with the purport of Vedic knowledge. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedesya Sarver Ahamem Vedya. The purport of the Vedas is to understand him, Krishna. One who worships and serves Krishna directly has understood the truths of the Vedas. Text 47. Saprasidatvam asmakam akankshatam darshanam te pariprashta satkarmanham Kityamane nribir namni yajneshate yajna vigna shayam yanti tasmai namaha. Translation Srila. Dear Lord, we were awaiting your audience because we have been unable to perform the yajnas according to the Vedic rituals. We pray unto you, therefore, to be pleased with us. Simply by chanting your holy name, one can surpass all obstacles. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you in your presence. The Brahmana priests were very hopeful that their sacrifice would be carried out without obstacles now that the Lord Vishnu was present. It is significant in this verse that the Brahmanas say simply by chanting your holy name, we can surpass the obstacles. But now you are personally present. The performance of Yajna by Daksha was obstructed by the disciples and followers of Lord Shiva. The Brahmanas indirectly criticized the followers of Lord Shiva, but because the Brahmanas were always protected by Lord Vishnu, Shiva's followers could not do any harm to their prosecution of the sacrificial process. There is a saying that when Krishna protects someone, no one can do him harm, and when Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can protect him. The vivid example was Ravana. Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but when Lord Ramchandra wanted to kill him, Lord Shiva could not protect him. If some demigod, even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, wants to do harm to a devotee, Krishna protects the devotee, but when Krishna wants to kill someone, such as Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, no demigod can protect him. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakata Mahim Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Udavadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sakrajatam Sakana Raghunathanvitam Tam Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakandhitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Taptakanchana Gaurangi Adi Vrindavaneshwari Vishbanute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kapasnivya Vicha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Moham Karu. Hare Krishna. So here we see in text 46 and 47, which we are discussing today, the Brahmanas have been continuing their prayers. And so in this sloka 46, the Brahmanas are continuing their prayers. They say that, Dear Lord, O personified Vedic knowledge, in the past millennium, long, long ago when you appeared as a great boar incarnation, you picked up the world from the water as an elephant picks up a lotus flower from a lake. When you vibrated the transcendental sound in the gigantic form of a boar, the sound was accepted as a sacrificial hymn, and the great sages like Sanaka meditated upon it and offered prayers for your glorification. So this is the mentioned the Srimad Bhagavatam third canto, where the Lord appears as Varahadev, and when he appeared as Varahadev, the earth was submerged under the water. The Lord appeared, picked up the water, killed Hiranyaksha, and then place the earth on the surface of the water. So here it is mentioned as to how the Lord picked up, just as an elephant picks up a lotus flower from a lake. Then the Lord vibrated some transcendental sound in that incarnation, and that sound was accepted as a sacrificial hymn. And all the great sages like Sanaka, etc., they meditated and offered prayers for glorification. So the form of the Lord is the Vedas. That means Vedas is the transcendental form of the Lord. And the sound vibration emanating from the mouth of the Lord is non-different from the Lord himself. You know, the Lord is absolute. The Vedas, the Lord, the deity, and they are all non-different from the Lord. So in the purport, there's a mention as to how when one worships the deity form of the Lord, it is understood that he has studied all the Vedas and is studying the Vedas all the 24 hours a day. So there's mention as to how simply by decorating the deities of the Lord, Radha and Krishna, in the temple, one very minutely studies the injunctions of the Vedas. So even a neophyte devotee who simply engages in the worship of the deity is understood to be directly in touch with the purport of Vedic knowledge. What is the purport of the Vedic knowledge? The Lord mentions in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hadisannivishta mattasmati jnanam apohanam cha. Translation says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And by all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. The point is that we must understand what is the point of studying Vedas. So the Lord is explaining that purpose of studying the Vedas is to know the Lord Supreme, Lord Krishna. And if after studying Vedas, if one does not understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that means that study of the Vedas has been a waste. So here in this verse, there's a mention as to how if somebody is engaged in deity worship of the Lord, he has automatically studied all the Vedas. The point is that when one is engaged in the deity worship of the Lord, that means he's actually physically worshipping the Lord in the deity form, which is non-different from reading the Vedas. So if he is serving the deity by changing the dresses, offering arti, etc., he has already achieved the status of having studied all the Vedas or studying the Vedas still. So, like I mentioned, the Lord is absolute. So if one is serving the Lord personally, that means he has already achieved that goal. And there is another very nice quote in Srimad Bhagavatam third canto, which says, to say nothing of spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. So this is one of the verses from Lord Kapila's teachings. So we will go through that. It's very important. Where Lord Kapila says that a person who is seeing the Lord face to face, that means in this particular purport, the reference is to deity worship. If somebody sees the Lord face to face, even if he is born from a low-grade family like a Chandala or dog eaters, he becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he chants the holy name of the Lord, or even hears about him, or even offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. So all the services of the Lord are absolute and they are all non-different from each other. That's what is mentioned conclusion of this particular sloka also. Somebody chants, somebody hears, somebody offers obeisances, and somebody even remembers him. All these are on one platform. So if anyone does one of these, it is as good as having achieved the rest. But there is also a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita saying that of all the 9 processes of devotional service, Kirtanam, chanting the holy name of the Lord, is the most important because that is what makes a person advance in spiritual life. So we'll go through one pastime here in this case, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had. This is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'm sure many of you who have gone to Puri might have seen the deity of Tota Gopinath. So this deity actually, one Mahaprabhu once when he was scratching the earth with his feet, at that time Gadadhara Pandita said that there must be something here. So he dug it up and then finally a deity came out and that deity Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave it to Gadadhara Pandita and asked him to serve the deity. And Gadadhara Pandita agreed. And because this Tota Gopinath means the deity name was Gopinath, but because it was found in the garden of Gadadhara Pandita where he was staying, it is known as Tota Gopinath. And Gadadhara Pandita accepted to worship that deity and he took 2 vows. One was that he would worship the deity during his lifetime. And the second was that he will not leave this town. These are 2 promises Gadadhara Pandita gave to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is a self-manifested deity. And it is said that since the time of Brahma speaking Brahma Samhita, that was the beginning of the day of Brahma, the deity was in a sitting position, which is very, very rare. So Gadadhara Pandita was by nature very, very silent and he wanted a place to chant and read Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arranged that also in Tota Gopinath for Gadadhara Pandita to stay and do his bhajana and seva to Tota Gopinath. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also stayed in Puri for a very, very long time. And the time came that many, many devotees used to come and see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Bengal and spend their Chaturmasya time with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Tota Gopinath. So one time the Lord wanted to go to Vrindavan and he wanted to do a parikrama from there. So he decided to go. Then many of the Lord's associates like Parmananda Puri, they all wanted to accompany the Lord and Lord agreed and they all started. At this time, Gadadhara Pandit also started to go with the Lord because Gadadhara Pandit was a very dear servant of the Lord. So he also wanted to accompany the Lord because he could not tolerate separation from the Lord. But then the Lord told him that he should not leave the vow that he has given. Now, Gadadhara Pandita was given a Kshetra Sannyasi when he took the responsibility of worshipping the deity. So, when one takes a Kshetra Sannyasi, it means that he leaves his household life and goes to a place of pilgrimage devoted to the Lord Vishnu. But when he was requested to return to Jagannath Puri, Gadadhara Pandita said, wherever you are staying is Jagannath Puri. So let me go with you. I don't care. Let my Kshetra Sannyasi go to hell. So Gadadhara Pandit also started accompanying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he abandoned the service of Tota Gopinath. And halfway when they went through up to, I think it is Cuttack, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Gadadhara Pandita to remain in Jagannath Puri, go back to Chaitanya Puri, Jagannath Puri and engage in Gopinath service. Gadadhara Pandit said, one renders service to Gopinath 1,000,000 times simply by seeing your lotus feet. Let my Kshetra Sannyasi go to hell. So again, Gadadhara Pandit says, let my Kshetra Sannyasi go to hell. For me, by just seeing your lotus feet, I've done a service of 1,000,000 times service to Gopinath. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, if you abandon this service, it will be my fault. It is better that you remain and render service to Tota Gopinath. That will be my satisfaction. But then Gadadhara Pandit somehow didn't want to leave Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, do not worry, all the faults will be on my head. I shall not accompany you, but shall go alone. So this time Gadadhar Pandit said, I will not come along with you, but I'll come alone. I will visit Mother Sachi so that the blame is not on you, but I will not go for your sake. I will not forgo you. I shall be responsible for the abandoning of my vow and service to Gopinath. So Gadadhara Pandita now took a different stand. He says that I'll come alone. Then Gadadhara Pandita starting going alone. Of course, the same way wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going, he was following, but he was going alone. Then they all came to this place, Katak, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Gadadhar Pandit, and he said, uh, you have abandoned Gopinath service and broken your vow to live in Puri also. And because you have come so far, your wanting to go with me is simply a desire for sense gratification. So Mahaprabhu said, now your desire to come with me is purely a desire for sense gratification because you have broken the principles and vows that you have given me. So in this way, you are breaking two religious principles, and because of this, I am very unhappy. If you want my happiness, please return to Nilachala. Nilachala is Puri. You will simply condemn me by if you say any more on this matter. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also very aggressive in his statement. Now this is how the loving dealings between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gadadhara Pandit would always be. They would argue, discuss, and finally they will quarrel, and then they will come back because that was a loving relationship that both of them had. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was also there at that time, who was also another devotee of the Lord, he told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to take this Gadadhara Pandit with him. The Bhattacharya told then Gadadhara Pandita, get up, such are the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually cannot tolerate separation from you, and it is due to his love for you, but just to protect your honor, he is willing to tolerate this separation. So Sarum Bhattacharya is telling Gadadhara Pandit, Mahaprabhu himself cannot tolerate separation from you, but still, because to protect your honor, he is prepared to take this separation also. You should know that Lord Krishna himself violated his own promise because the example given is that Krishna in the Mahabharata said that he will not lift a weapon, but he also was made to take the weapon by Bhishma. So similarly, tolerating separation from you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has protected your vow with great endeavor. This way, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya convinced Gadadhara Pandita. Then both of them, with a lot of griefs, they returned to Jagannath Puri. So this is how deity worship is something that is recommended in our scriptures also. And it is non-different from serving the Lord personally. But from this pastime, we can understand that how Mahaprabhu instructed Gadadhara Pandita that by abandoning the deity service, the Lord will rather be upset. Rather, you go and serve the deity form that is as good as serving me personally. So the point is that those who are chanting the holy name of the Lord are those who they have already performed all the Vedic sacrifices. And what to perform Vedic sacrifices, the sound vibration itself is a transcendental form of the Lord itself in the form of Vedas or all the other scriptures also. We now go to text number 47, where in the prayer, the Brahmanas say, Dear Lord, we were awaiting your audience because we have been unable to perform the yajnas according to the Vedic rituals. We pray unto you, therefore, to be pleased with us. Simply by chanting your holy name, one can surpass all obstacles. We offer our respect obeisances unto you in your presence. So here the Brahmanas are continuing to pray, saying that just by chanting your name, you will be present, and then we can overcome all the obstacles in the process of performing the sacrifices. So though the followers of Lord Shiva tried to create disturbance in the sacrifices performed by Daksha, but still the Brahmanas were performing the sacrifices on behalf of Daksha. So they could not, some disturbance was there, but they could not bring any harm. So that is why in the purport also Srila Prabhupada mentions that when one uh, chants the holy name, one can overcome all the obstacles in the path of their services. And this way, the Brahmanas say that we offer our respective obeisances to you in your presence. So, Lord Himself was physical. When the Brahmanas were chanting the name of the Lord was also present in the sacrifices. And since the Lord was physically present, the Brahmanas say that even by chanting your holy name, one can surpass all the obstacles. But you are physically present here now. So the Lord is absolute, like I mentioned at the beginning of the class, chanting the name of the Lord and the Lord, they are all on the same platform. So indirectly, the Brahmanas were criticizing the followers of Lord Shiva that they could not disturb the sacrifice because the Lord was personally protecting these Brahmanas because they were all protected by Lord Vishnu. So Shiva's followers could not do any physical harm for the sacrifice. So there is a mention in the purport that Rake Krishna Marake, Mare Krishna Rakeke. The meaning of that is that if Krishna wants to kill somebody, no one can protect them. And if Krishna wants to, if somebody wants to kill a person, then nobody can stop Krishna from protecting him. It works both ways. So we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are two pastimes. We'll take you through the subject of brevity of time. During Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time in Puri, there was a devotee in the name of Sarma Bhattacharya, whose name also appeared in the previous pastime. He invited one day the Lord to honor prasadam in his house, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately agreed. So at this time, Sarma Bhattacharya had his son-in-law, whose name was Amoga, who was the husband of this Sarma Bhattacharya's daughter named Sati. So, though born in a Brahmin family, Amoga was actually a great fault finder and a blasphemer also. So, Amoga wanted to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eat prasadam, but he was not allowed to enter. Somehow, Bhattacharya guarded the household with a stick in his hand. But however, as soon as Bhattacharya started distributing prasadam and he was a little bit inattentive, that is the time Amoga came into the room and he came in. And when he saw the Lord eating, he saw the Lord eating a large quantity of food, and he started to blaspheme the Lord himself. He said, "This much food is sufficient to satisfy 10 or 12 men, but this sannyasi is eating all alone so much." So as soon as Amoga said this, Sarva Bhattacharya his eyes became red with anger. And seeing the anger of Bhattacharya, Amoga left. So Bhattacharya then ran after him to strike him with a stick. But Amoga ran away very fast that Bhattacharya could not catch him. So then the Bhattacharya then began to curse his own son-in-law and call him ill names because Amoga was literally chastising or blaspheming the Supreme Lord himself. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was laughing, hearing and criticizing Amoga criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Sati's mother, that is Bhattacharya's wife, heard of this incident, she immediately began to strike her head and chest, saying again and again, "Let Sati become a widow." That means her daughter. Mother is praying that let her daughter become a widow because she also couldn't tolerate the blasphemy of the Lord by her son-in-law. Then, seeing the lamentation of husband and wife and all things, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tried to pacify them. So, according to their desire, the Lord ate prasadam and was very much satisfied. So, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finished eating his prasadam, Bhattacharya poured water for the Lord to wash his hands, legs, and mouth and all, and offered him flavored spices, tulsi, manjaris, cloves, and cardamom. Bhattacharya then placed a flower garland onto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and smeared his body with sandalwood bark. So, after offering obeisances, Bhattacharya submitted a statement in a very humble manner. He said I brought you to my home just to get you blasphemed. That means Bhattacharya was not uh, knowing about this, but he did not expect this to happen. But he told Mahaprabhu that I have actually brought you to my house to be blasphemed by my son-in-law. This is a very great offense. Please excuse me. I beg your pardon. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, what Amoga has said is correct. Therefore, it is not blasphemy. What is your offense in this? After saying this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left and returned to his residence. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya followed him. Falling down at the Lord's lotus feet, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said many things in self-reproach. That means Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was criticizing his own self, but somehow he continued to follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then the Lord tried to pacify him and sent him back to his home. So after he came back to his home, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya actually consulted with his wife, that is the mother of Sati. After personally condemning himself, he began to speak. If the man who blasphemes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is killed, his sinful action may be atoned. That means if Amoga is killed, then automatically the sinful reaction will be atoned. Then he said, or if I give up my own life, then this sinful action may also be atoned. However, neither of these ideas is befitting because both the bodies belong to Brahmanas. So he says, either I give up my life or Amoga has to be killed. Then the atonement can happen. But that is very difficult because both are Brahmanas. The Brahmanas should never kill or they should never commit suicide. In fact, suicide for anybody is not advisable. So he said, instead, I shall never see the face of that blasphemer. I reject him and give up my relationship with him. I shall never even speak his name. Inform my daughter Sati to abandon her relationship with her husband because he has fallen down. So here there is a mention within the Shastras that when a husband falls down, it is the wife's duty to relinquish that relationship. This is a quote from Smriti Shastra. That means if a husband is fallen, one's relationship with him must be given up. So here, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is telling his wife that his daughter should give up her relationship with Amoga because he has blasphemed. And he is giving a quote from Smriti Shastra. Then that night, Amoga, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's son-in-law, and they all gathered. By the time Amoga already had fallen sick and he was lying in bed very seriously with cholera. So then when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came to know this, he thought, it is the favor of Providence that he is doing what I want to do. That means Amoga is concluding that whatever has happened to my son-in-law is good. See, actually, nobody would go to this extent of condemning his own son-in-law, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya did this because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was blasphemed. So he thought that it is by providence this has happened that Amoga has fallen sick. And he said that when one offends the Supreme Personality of Godhead, karma immediately takes effect. After saying this, he recites some two verses from revealed scriptures. It says, when a person mistreats great souls, his lifespan, opulence, reputation, religion, possessions, and good fortune are all destroyed. So when somebody blasphemes a great personality or Supreme Personality of Godhead, he loses all his reputation, wealth, religion, everything. So at this time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had a brother-in-law whose name was Gopinath Acharya. So he went to see Chaitanya Prabhu and the Mahaprabhu, and the Lord asked him about the events that is taking place in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. Gopinath Acharya informed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Amoga was sick and he was lying in the bed. And both husband and wife were fasting and that their son-in-law Amoga was dying of cholera. That means Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his wife were fasting and Amoga was lying in bed due to cholera. So as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that Amoga was going to die, immediately he came running in great haste. The Lord placed his hand on Amoga's chest and he said, the heart of a Brahmana is by nature very, very clean. Therefore, it is a proper place for Krishna to sit. Why have you allowed the Chandala of jealousy to sit there? That means Mahaprabhu placed his hand on Amoga's chest and said, why have you allowed this jealousy to come in you? In this way, you have contaminated the whole purified place, your heart, etc. However, due to the association of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, all your contamination is now vanquished. When a person's heart is clean of all contamination, he is able to chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, then Mahaprabhu said, Amoga, get up and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If you do so, Krishna will unfallingly bestow mercy upon him. After hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and being touched by Mahaprabhu, Amoga, actually who was on the deathbed, immediately stood up and he began to chant the holy name of Krishna. And then he became mad, ecstatic with love for the holy name. So this is how, just by chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he overcame all the obstacles. This is the purport of this sloka today, second sloka. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also began to laugh. Amoga then fell at the Lord's feet and begged apology. He said, please excuse my offense. Not only Amoga begged for the Lord's pardon, but he also began slapping his own cheeks, his head, chest, and all. He said that by this mouth I have blasphemed you. And then finally the others like Gopinath Acharya and all, they stopped him by catching hold of his hands. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually pacified Amoga by touching his body and saying, you are the object of my affection because you are the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. That means Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a dear devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And because of Amoga's relationship with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgave the offenses committed by Amoga. Further, the Lord says, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house is very dear to me, including his maids, servant, and even his dog. What to speak of his relatives? Then he said, Amoga, always chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and do not commit any more offenses. After giving this instruction, then Mahaprabhu left. And this is how that pastime ended. So the point is that with one chant, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all of the obstacles can be overcome. There is one more pastime which is also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I will narrate now. It is said that during Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time in Puri itself, there was a devotee in the name of Gopinath Pattanyaka. He was the son of Bhavanandaraya. And this Gopinath Pattanyaka was condemned to death by the king's son known as Badajana. And the reason that he was being put on the Changa. This Changa is something like a platform. And when the order is given to execute the person, the platform falls down and the person who is on that platform falls down on a set of knives that are kept underneath. So automatically the person falls on this knife and he is killed. This is what is called Changa. So this person Badajana, he has placed this Gopinath Pattanyaka for to be executed. Actually Bhavanandara and all the entire family were all servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from his Bhavanandara, what is the reason that the king is chastising this person? Then people all described the incident. They said this Gopinath Pattanyaka, he is a brother of Ramanandaraya, was a treasurer for the government. He served in the place known as Malajisi Dandapata or something like that. And he was soliciting and collecting money and thereby depositing it in the government treasury. That means Gopinath Pattanyaka was collecting money and then depositing it in the government treasury. So once when he deposited the collection, there was a balance of 200,000 kahanas of conches, which was deficit. Therefore, the king demanded this sum. So this Gopinath Pattanyaka, when he was depositing one time, there was a shortage of 200,000 conch shells. So the king demanded the sum. I mean, these conch shells were also traded during those years. So Gopinath Pattanyaka replied, there is no money I can immediately give you in cash. Please give me some time. Gradually, I shall purchase and sell my gross goods, and this way fill your treasury. Plus, I have some 10 to 12 good horses. You take them immediately for a proper price. After saying this, he brought all the horses to the door of the king. So this Gopinath Pattanaika had to tend to 12 horses, and he brought these horses to the palace of the king. So one of the princes who knew how to estimate the price of a horse, he knew. So the king asked for him, and he saw the horses. The prince, however, was a very crooked person, and he reduced the actual value of the horse itself. So when Gopinath Pattanaika heard this, he was very, very angry, and openly in front of the king, he said that prince had a personal this thing, and he was looking upward and quoting a price on the sky and quoting the price. Pattanaika actually criticized that prince, and he was not afraid of the prince because he was very dear to the king. Gopinath Pattanaika said, "My horses never turn their cheeks or necks or look upward. Whereas your person, the prince whom you have called, he is looking up at the sky and quoting a price. The price for them should not be reduced." So hearing this criticism, that prince got very angry. He said, the prince went to the king and said that I will see that this Gopinath Pattanaika is put into the changa, and then when he is put into the changa, automatically we can realize the money from this. The king said, okay, whatever adopt means you adopt, it's up to you. I need the money. So then the prince raised this Gopinath Pattanaika again into the changa and spread swords upon which swords so that this Gopinath Pattanaika can be thrown onto it. So when Mahaprabhu heard this explanation, Mahaprabhu got very angry. He said, Gopinath Pattanaika does not want to pay the king that money is due to him. How then is the king at fault in punishing him? The king is right in punishing him. So Gopinath Pattanaika is the person who is in charge of collecting money on behalf of the government. But if he misappropriates, there is nothing wrong with the king. So if one is intelligent, let him perform service to the government and let him pay to the government. So at that time, another person came as a messenger to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said that Vaninath Raya and all the entire family members have also been arrested. All these people were related. Vaninath Raya, Gopinath Pattanaika, they were all relatives of Ramananda Raya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then replied, the king must personally realize the money that is due. I am a sannyasi. I am a member of the renounced order. What can I do? Then all the devotees headed by Swarup Damodar fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they submitted a petition. They said, all the members of Ramananda Raya's family are your eternal servants. Now they are in danger. It is not befitting for you to be indifferent to them in this way. So they all tried to convince Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they are all your servants. You can't be indifferent like this. After hearing this, Mahaprabhu got very angry. He said, you want me to go to the king begging money for this or begging forgiveness? I am a sannyasi, or I can beg for about 5 gandas. I don't know what is that 5 gandas, but why should he be granted the inappropriate sum of 200,000? So Mahaprabhu says that I can beg for a small amount, but why should he be granted for an inappropriate sum of 200,000 conchals? Then that is the time another person came with the news that Gopinath Pattanaika has already been set up for everything to be ready for putting in the changa. Mahaprabhu said, I am a beggar. It is impossible for me to do anything about this. Therefore, if you want to save him, you pray to all together, go to Lord Jagannath's lotus feet and pray at the feet of Lord Jagannath. Jagannath is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He possesses all the potencies, and he is able to act freely and he can do whatever he likes. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied like this, then they all went and prayed at the lotus feet of Jagannath. Then at that time, the person, the name of Harichandra Patra, he went to the king and spoke to him. He said, why do you want to kill this Gopinath Pattanaika? By killing him in the Changa, you will lose the money. You are not going to get the money and you will lose his life also. Instead, let him pay the money to you gradually. It would be better to take the horses for a better price and then let him gradually pay the balance. Why are you killing him unnecessarily? So when this Harichandana narrated this to the king immediately got carried away and he said, yes, I know, but all I want is money. See how everything can be adjusted. Then Adisena then returned and informed the prince of the king's desire, and immediately Gopinath Patanyaka was taken down from the Changa. Then he was told that the king demanded money. Then he said, "Take my horses for a proper price. I shall pay the balance without consideration and pay off everything that is required." Then the government took all the horses that he had at a proper price, and Gopinath Patanyaka was released. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from the messenger, what was Vaninatha doing when he was arrested and brought there? The messenger replied, Vaninatha was continuously chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then he said he counted the chants on his fingers of both the hands, and after he had finished chanting 1,000 times, he would make a mark on his body. So he would chant, Vaninath Patanyaka would chant 1,000 times and make a mark on his body. So hearing this, the Lord was very, very pleased. So this is how the pastime happened. And then at that time, Kashi Mishra came to the residence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the Lord talked with him with meditation. The Lord said, I cannot stay here any longer. I shall go to Alarnatha. Those who have gone to Puri might have seen this Alarnatha also. Mahaprabhu said, there are too many disturbances here and I cannot get any rest. All the family members of Bhavananda Raya are engaged in government service, but they spend the government's revenue in various ways. What is my fault in that? He wants the government's money, however, when they are punished in the process of repaying the government, they come to me to release them, which is not fair. Mahaprabhu said that it is they who commit these problems. And then when they are in danger, they come to me. What is my problem? So then finally, Mahaprabhu said, as a beggar, sannyasi, a mendicant, I wish to live alone in a solitary place. But these people come to me with their unhappiness and keep disturbing me. Somehow Mahaprabhu said, Jagannath has saved him from his death today. And if tomorrow again this happens, who will give him protection? So it is not Gopinath Patanyaka who has done all this, rather his friends and relatives, servants helped him from this distress condition by chanting the holy name. So the point is that when Gopinath Patanyaka was in danger, all the other relatives chanted the holy name of the Lord, and somehow this is how he was rescued. So then Mahaprabhu, they all persuaded Mahaprabhu to stay back in Puri itself, and saying that they will not create this problem for him anymore. So and they gave an assurance, and Mahaprabhu agreed and continued to stay in Puri. The point is that this verse also, the first verse says about those who are worshipping the deity form of the Lord have all the conclusion of the Vedas, and the second, for which I narrated the pastime. And the second verse says that one who chants the holy name of the Lord overcomes all the obstacles. So two pastimes I narrated just to show how powerful is that chanting the holy name of the Lord, and all the obstacles were overcome. With this, I conclude the class for the day. If anybody has got any questions or any comments, you can ask me for the next couple of minutes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Pranam.
Yanda Prabhu.
Prabhuji, like the last you were telling about how Prabhu was, he was owing something to the king. I didn't get that point, Prabhuji. What he was owing like?
He was owing 200,000 conch shells. Now, this is trade before, we see the currency now. Before this, there used to be trading on coins, there used to be trading on conch shells and other valuable items. So this is what that Gopinath Patanyaka was owing to the king, 200,000 conch shells.
So he had collected and he had not given, or he was supposed to collect it?
He has collected and he has not deposited in the treasury. Now, what he did with that money, there's no mention about it. But the king demanded that whatever was short, the king was demanding it.
So, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent all Sarvama Bhattacharya and others to pray to Jagannath. So, yes. And this Gopinath he was chanting, and so he was rescued.
Yes, they were all chanting for him, for his saving his life, and that's why he was rescued. And the messenger went to the king and saying that earlier the price quoted for the horses were very low. Give the current prices, reasonable, realistic prices. Take the horses and the balance, Gopinath Patanyaka will pay you. And the king agreed, and finally the deal was closed.
And this Gopinath also chanted, Prabhuji, like was chanting.
Yes.
Okay. And Prabhu, one more question, like as saying that the ultimate goal of all Vedas is to chant. What are we saying, Prabhu?
Yeah, the first sloka says that one who chants the holy name of the Lord, he already has understood, performed all the Vedic sacrifices. That means that one who is, what is the purpose of studying Vedas is to know Krishna and serve Krishna. But if somebody is already performing deity worship and serving the Lord personally, he has achieved the goal already. That is the purpose. Okay, Prabhu. And Prabhu, one more said, like once somebody chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is all sins have been eradicated. It won't be there. So how do you understand this? That when we chant like every day, so where do we stand? Like how do we understand this, Prabhuji? Please can I ask? We cannot understand this because what Shastra says we have to accept. But one thing is sure, that as we start chanting the holy name of the Lord, we don't know how many births, what all sinful activities we have committed, but at least we see the purity of our heart, taking changes in the purity of the heart taking place on a day-to-day basis. As we chant, as we hear, that change we can realize. That is a conclusion itself. Yes, some positive development is taking in my character or behavior by chanting the holy name. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. That changes there, but sins, past sins and other things, whatever it is, that all will be gone, Prabhu, or it will be there. What Shastra says, we must accept as it is. We must have faith. We must have faith in the Shastras. Yes, of course. And Shastras are given by the Lord. Mm-hmm. So we must have faith in the words of the Lord. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? If there's no questions, comments, I'll take the class as closed. Thank you all very much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.